Still on the first part, introducing the Ichimoku Kinko Hio indicator, what to take into consideration. One of the early signs of a shift is happening in the current trend is the Kinjun Tenkan cross. Whenever a trend is in place, the Tenkan line, usually the red line on most of the trading platforms, should be above the Kinjun. So the Tenkan line here, so this is the Tenkan line. Let's just write here so that it should stay with us for the whole recording now, the Tenkan line. So again, one of the early signs a shift is happening in the current trend. Now the current trend on the euro dollar that we are having here, the current trend is a bearish trend, as you can see, to the downside. Started at the 134 area there, 134.50 area, and from that moment on, price just reversed to the downside and never looked back. One of the early signs that a shift is happening is the Kinjun Tenkan cross. So if you are really looking for price to reverse and you're looking at the Ichimoku Kinko Hio indicator, then it is impossible for the price to reverse from a bearish environment like it is now to a bullish environment unless the Kinjun and the Tenkan lines are crosses. Now this is the Tenkan, the red line, and the blue line here is the Kinjun. So without a cross between the two lines, it is impossible for price to actually shift to the upside. Whenever a trend is in place, the Tenkan line, usually the red line, like said earlier, should be above the Kinjun line if the trend line is to the upside, and it should be below the Kinjun line if the trend line is to the downside. As you can see here, the trend line is to the trend is to the downside, and the Tenkan line, the red line, is below the Kinjun line, signaling a downward trend. In an upward trend, the Tenkan should be above the Kinjun, signaling a bullish and an upward trend. Therefore, in a downtrend, the cross between the two lines should result in Tenkan going below the Kinjun, and in an uptrend, the opposite being true as well. This is the first clue something is happening to the initial trend, and it is usually signaling a possible reversal might take place. Why saying possible? Because it is not mandatory if you have a cross between the Tenkan and the Kinjun line that the actual reversal to take place. Take a look here. You have a cross between we have a cross between the two lines right here, but this cross doesn't end up to be a shift between the bearish and bullish environments. Price went to the upside from this moment on, so from something like, let's see, from the 131.66 up to the 132.18, so almost 50 pips to the upside, but the actual trend was not changed. In order to have a bullish environment, you need, first of all, the price to be above the cloud. Then you need the Kinjun and Tenkan to cross. That condition was being resolved here. Then you need the cloud to turn the color. This is the red cloud, a bearish cloud, and this is a green cloud, a bullish cloud. Then you need, of course, the Kinko here, the Kinko to go above all the 5 resistance areas that we've mentioned earlier on the previous recordings. The 5 resistance areas are the actual price itself, the Tenkan, the Kinjun, the Senko A, and Senko B. And only after that you will have a bullish environment. There is no bullish environment here. This is a transitory cycle, and while this is a bearish cycle, this should be viewed as a transitory cycle. You will see what I mean by the time we are going to go to the transitory cycle and have that analysis there. So next, one should look at the actual cloud. As the cloud changes the color, as you can see here, the cloud changes the color even though it is projected 26 periods ahead. See, here it does not change the color. So until the cloud changes the color, it is impossible for price to go to the upside. And this is one of the beautiful characteristics of the Ichimoku Kinko here, because it's visible. So if you are seeing that the cloud is negative or bearish, it's impossible for price to go to the upside. So it helps one trader to be disciplined. On trading platforms, usually a rising trend is accompanied by a green cloud. Not the case here, but it can be if you edit the indicator. And a bearish cloud should be accompanied by a red cloud. Bulls should take that into consideration if the cloud turns red if the cloud has turned red, because this should be interpreted as not a good sign for the other side of the trade. Last but not least, one should take a look at the Kinko line, as whenever it comes and meets price, then there is a possible time for the present price action to find support or resistance, or to continue trading. Take a look at how Kinko is acting after the bearish market. So this is the bearish market situation. The bearish environment is established here. Everything is bearish in the sense that you have the cross here. So this is the cross between the Kijun and Tenkan. Then price here goes here, price goes below, so price below the cloud. Then you have the Kinko here. So Kinko crossing all support areas. So basically from this moment on, we are having a bearish environment. This is where the bearish environment starts, right here, and it never gives back. Right here, the bearish environment. Now you have to imagine that when you are looking at such a thing, at the Kinko, so you have to imagine that this level here is projected 26 periods backward. So the actual price was here 26 periods when you have this Kinko line. So be aware that the actual bearish environment started here. I will try to make a different vertical line here so that we are not being confused. And from this moment on, only bearish environment all over the place. Take a look at the Kinko now, how Kinko reacts by the time it approaches the price. So, but as long as the Kinko stays at normal distance from the candles in front of it, it's okay. Approaching the candles, and the first tendency is to avoid the candles. So you have to imagine 26 periods from this moment, 26 periods ahead, and 26 periods ahead, and this is a proper moment to go short or to buy puts, where if you are trading binary options, because the normal tendency in the bearish environment started right here and here in a bearish. So the first tendency is for price is for the Kinko to try to avoid the candles in front of it. Now let's move forward with our next recording, and trying to look at different things regarding the Ichimoku.